Hello, everyone. Hello. Greetings to you in your home, on your job, in your car, wherever you are at this time. This is Dr. Lynn J. What Emerge and Empower. How are you doing today? I pray that you and your family are well. And as you know, Emerge and Empower is a platform where individuals come on and share their stories of what they have emerged from. For some, it is health conditions. For others, it's psychological damage, things that they've dealt with as a child from traumatic experiences or traumatic experiences that they incurred during adulthood. So, on today, we have a guest that would be speaking about a health condition that he's had to live with. And I just want to greet you. So tell your friends, get everyone ready. Tell them Dr. Linjay is on and go ahead and share, 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 share. Share the link. And you can find me on YouTube at Dr. Linjay. And of course, the podcast is on various podcast platforms, and you'll be able to watch, share, and also comment with your friends and family. So, once again, I welcome you to Emerge and Empower. Welcome to Emerge and Empower, the podcast where we delve into stories of resilience, triumph, and personal growth. I'm your host, Dr. Lynn J, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this journey of empowerment. Each episode, we bring you inspiring conversations with individuals who have faced challenges head on, emerged stronger, and are now making a positive impact in their communities. Whether it's overcoming adversity, pursuing passions, or navigating the twists and turns of life, our guests share the valuable insights and lessons. And thank you once again for being our guest here on Emerge and Empower. The subject that we have for today, as you can see on the bottom of the screen, it talks about beyond the surface with Jeff Pearson's journey of courage. Now, Jeff Pearson was born and raised in Fort Collins. After high school, he traveled with a group called Up With People, an internationally known performance group that took him all over the U.S. and Europe for years. In 1996, Jeff married Catherine, his junior high school sweetheart, in 1999, and they moved to Colorado Springs, Colorado, where they enjoyed living and raising three kids. Jeff is a hydro warrior, a honorary title for anyone with hydrocephalus. Jeff was born with hydrocephalus and has had, as of 2023, seven brain surgeries and six other related surgeries because of the condition. In 2018, during a follow up appointment after one of his recent brain surgeries, Jeff and his wife were sitting in the exam room waiting for the neurosurgeon to come in when they overheard a family in the next room, and the tone of the conversation sounded like they have been getting the news that their child was going to have brain surgery. That's when Jeff decided to form a company to help families with hydrocephalus. It took a couple of years to get the specifics figured out, but in May 2022, Hydro and Hope was launched. Their mission at Hydro and Hope is to provide hydrocephalus community with tangible help and encouragement through online and in-person resources. They also endeavor to increase awareness of hydrocephalus and normalize hydrocephalus related vocabulary for friends and family of hydro warriors. One of those resources is a journal that they published early 2023 called My Hydro Warrior Story. It is filled it's a fill in the blank journal designed to walk hydro warriors and their families through from their first moment of my baby's going to have what kind of surgery to the hospital to stay, going home, and beyond. They are excited to get this journal into the hands of every single family living with hydrocephalus. The newest resource they offer as a TV show called Invisible Condition. On the show, they chat with amazing individuals who live with all those conditions that they can't seem to see from the outside because they're invisible. We have had amazing guests living and striving with everything from hydrocephalus, multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, schizophrenia, POTS, fibromyalgia, and they also have an incredible organization on the show from around the world who help those with invisible conditions to better their lives. The show airs on E360 TV online and airs twice a week on Tuesday and Fridays at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. If you know a person or an organization who would like to be their guest, you are more than welcome to join Jeff on the show. Now, we are truly happy to have Jeff Pearson on the show with us, for he saw the story and said, I would like to come on and be a guest on the Emerge and Empower show. Now, we are here to present individuals an opportunity to share their stories. And as they share their stories, we celebrate their victories. Amen. We celebrate their victories. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Emerge and Empower, where we have individuals come on every day to share their stories of triumph. On today, we welcome you once again, Jeff Pearson, on Emerge and Empower, sharing your story. I believe it's a great story to tell. It's a great story of emergence that helps individuals and families and also bring awareness. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the show and let everyone know who you are and tell us a little bit about you on today.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I thank you for the opportunity to be here and to get the word out. My name is Jeff Pearson, and I was born with a condition called hydrocephalus, which you had mentioned there, and it's kind of a crazy condition. It affects everybody a little bit differently, but the main thing that we all have in common is that almost all of us with hydrocephalus have repeated brain surgeries over our lifetime. And so it can be a really crazy condition to live with. And so for me in particular, my first brain surgery occurred when I was 2 weeks old back in 1977. And since then, I've had 6 additional brain surgeries. So I've had 7 total. 4 of those have been since 2014. And it's been a wild ride. And as you stated, in 2018, we decided there's got to be a way to help these families, and so that's where Hydro with Hope was born, and kind of is what got us on the road to creating our TV show, Invisible Condition. So, but yeah, I born and raised in Colorado, been married to my beautiful wife, Catherine, for almost 25 years. Got 3 beautiful children. We've had, it's been an amazing journey so far.
Amen, amen. So living with hydrocephalus comes with unique challenges. Can you walk us through some of those challenges?
Absolutely. The one thing that's a little bit crazy with hydrocephalus as well, the first thing is you are dealing with the brain. And so anytime you're poking around in the brain, especially with surgery, it can get cranky. The brain can do things and it's got kind of a mind of its own, so to speak. And so, some of those challenges, growing up, I didn't really have very many. I had 3 surgeries growing up, one at about 2 weeks old, one at a few months old. And then I didn't have another one until about 18, right after I graduated high school. And really, they had some challenges with them, but nothing long lasting. It was pretty normal childhood, pretty normal, everything up until about about 10 or 11 years ago. And back in 2013, everything kind of started to progress towards surgery. And I, had one in 13, had two in 14, one in 18, and one just a couple years ago in 2021. And with each of those surgeries, they added kind of a layer of complexity to life. In 2014, had to have two brain surgeries back to back within 24 hours because of a bacterial infection in the cerebral spinal fluid, and they had to get in there and take care of it right away. And following that, I had a nonstop year of nonstop migraines for over a year. That's one of the effects that I've experienced. One of the other ones was, large motor tics or vertigo or dizziness or, memory issues. Of course, when you go poking around in the brain, this is where the brain houses the short-term memory back here.
Yes,
this is where all the surgeries have happened. So it can really mess with your memory a little bit, and so we write a lot of things down in this house. Just to name a few,
Right. Well, when I see you, I see one who has gone through a journey of resilience and empowerment. So can you share some of the key moments or experiences that have contributed to your sense of empowerment? Because you talk about hearing the parent have to go through that with their children and deciding to bring more awareness to it. So let's talk about that empowerment that you're bringing now in the community and in society.
Yeah, thank you. So in 2018, like you said, we were sitting there and this wouldn't have even occurred to me if I hadn't already had a couple, 2-3 surgeries behind me. Because growing up, as I said, it was pretty normal. I didn't really talk about it with my teachers even. I was such a normal kid growing up and everything.
Right.
So just in the last few years. So, it was just in that office, I just couldn't take it anymore. I was listening to this family in the next room going, oh my gosh, all I wanted to do was run next door to that family in that next room and give them a hug and tell them it was going to be okay and answer their questions. And, but I knew I couldn't do that.
Right.
So hospitals don't like it when you do that. So I on the way home, we said, well, we got to do something. And so we put together what eventually became Hydro with Hope, which we like to say that it's tangible resources. There's a lot of amazing organizations out there helping people with hydrocephalus in the form of fundraising for research, for better devices, better shunts. The shunt is what keeps us going,
Right.
Or better treatment options or better surgical techniques or better whatever. We felt like we wanted to be more boots on the ground. So we created a journal, which I actually have right here, this journal right here.
Okay.
That is a tangible resource that it's 150 pages, fill in the blank journal that walks people through that first moment of, my kid's gonna have to work out his surgery. And so this helps you. This you can keep track of all the things happening in the hospital, all the medical record keeping, all the different things, and then you take this to your next appointment
with questions,
and then you don't have to remember everything because of memory issues. And so that's our main resource. I also love speaking. I love to speak to groups about this and raise awareness that way, because people don't understand how common this is. Hydrocephalus is, everybody's heard of Down syndrome, right? Everybody knows what Down syndrome is. A lot of people know what spina bifida is. You've probably heard of that, right? So hydrocephalus is just as common as Down syndrome and more common than spina bifida. Every 15 minutes in the United States, somebody's having brain surgery because of hydrocephalus. There's over 400,000 babies born with hydrocephalus every single year in the U.S. It is a huge condition that is very widespread, but because it's invisible, a lot of people just overlook it or don't realize people have it. So that's part of our reason for wanting to get the word out.
Right. and hence the invisible condition that is
Yeah.
theme for your show,
Yes.
which because you could know somebody and not know that they're dealing with it because it's invisible. It's not something that you can actually visually see unless you've been friends with this person, you're aware that they went through such an experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so and this is not only the only invisible condition. There's so many invisible
Oh my God.
conditions, but a
Yeah.
lot of people do not talk about it or don't share it unless they want to present like groups, where people can meet together, which I'm sure through your empowerment there are moments like that where families can come in. There are organizations that they can go to with the information, because the minute people think about brain surgery, I mean, that's major, major surgery. And
Yeah.
now you have to put your child through this. But having someone like you that's saying, you know what, I went through this as a child. I did have the surgery. Your child can have a normal life. I've had a normal life. You understand? So this would give that parent a lot of hope, right? They'll have a lot of hope to say, okay, all right, then I will trust the process. But I'm sure it's a scary, anything is scary. Even to just have an appendectomy is scary. To get your appendix out.
Right.
Nobody want to have surgery. Imagine the brain, okay? Because someone's going to play around in there, and now you're not sure how you're going to come out on the other end
Right.
after this. Will you be able to speak? Now, after any of these surgeries, did you have any moments where you had to like retrain as far as learning anything like that?
No, not really. There, there was one, there was one surgery that, it was a little bit of I mean, a little bit of a scare.
Uh-huh.
I was in there and they said, well, I think it was in 2014. They said, well, I mean, there's a lot of scar tissue, so we might need to relocate the where the shunt is from
Uh-huh.
back here to up here. And I said,
Hmm.
whoa, whoa, you're going to drill another hole up
Right.
here, move it to up here, take it out of here, put it up here. You're dropping this bomb on me 2 hours before you put me to sleep to do the surgery. Come on, but so that was a little interesting. But for the most part, it's been, the surgeons have been amazing. The hospitals have been amazing. I've had nothing but great experiences in the hospital, but that's the kind of stuff that can kind of, you just go, whoa, I am definitely not in control here.
Right, right. Definitely.
So, yeah, it's been, over the years you get a little bit of, sometimes you get that scare, but it's been, I have made it out so well out of all these surgeries. I've never had to take a regular medication ever in my life. I've
Great.
never had to relearn anything. Yes, memory issues. Yes, I do have balance issues once in a while, but I rode a bike when I was a kid. I played tennis. I snowboarded. I still snowboard to this day. Did skateboarding, all the things. I mean, I was a normal kid. I found myself coming out of these surgeries with virtually nothing up until just a few years ago. So I count myself very fortunate.
Yes, indeed, 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 indeed. And you talk about the shunt. Can
Yeah.
you shed some light on the shunt so people understand what it is and what's the whole process of that?
Sure. Thank you. So, yeah. So I'll just go with the example of myself when I was born. They, at my 2-week checkup, they realized they needed to do the surgery because they did the head measurement and compared it to the one at birth and said, it's a little outside the norm. Let's get a CAT scan. It's probably nothing, but let's see. Well, it was something. There was a ventricle that was blocked in my brain that wasn't allowing the cerebral spinal fluid that your brain produces all day long, every day of your life,
Right.
by the way. It produces about a quart a day. And so it has to go somewhere. And the ventricles are built into the brain. God's so smart. He built it into the brain naturally to it's like a natural drainage system.
Yes.
Well, one of those drains was blocked. One of my ventricles was blocked. And so what they had to do, which is typical with when they do a shunt, is they drilled a hole in my skull back here, threaded a little tube in there to access the fluid from that ventricle that was blocked.
Okay.
And then they attached a shunt to it, which is here, which is kind of like a pump. and then they attached a cord to that, which they
Train.
routed somewhere, into like the abdominal cavity, or right now it's emptying out into the pleural space around my right lung, behind my right lung. They've had to relocate it a couple times because of scar tissue, but that's what they do. That's the typical procedure, is this: install a shunt and drain that fluid somewhere else because the ventricle can't do it. The trouble is, these shunts have one of the highest failure rates of any medical device in history. And so despite all the fundraising, despite all the research and all the advancements that they've made and they have made plenty of advancements over the last 50, 60 years of using these, we still have one of the highest failure rates of any medical device in history. And so a person with hydrocephalus will experience an average lifespan of these devices, these shunts, of about 2 to 3 years. So that means you're going under the knife for brain surgery every 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
I have found myself very fortunate that in 47 years on this planet, I've only had to do it 7 times.
That's great. It's amazing.
By the averages, I probably should have had it three times that many times, and so that's kind of the normal, as normal as you can.
Normal as you can.
Normal is relative, but that's kind of how the shunt works, and how it is kind of out there. I've known people that have had a couple surgeries when they were a baby, and they're in their 40s and they never had to have another one. I've known people that have outgrown the need for the shunt. I've also known people that are half my age that have had over 100 surgeries.
Wow.
So you just never know. It's very individual.
So every experience is individual. Yep. And as you're saying, 7, someone could be watching right now and they've gone through twice as much or 3 times as much as what you've gone through. So again, it's on an individual basis. Yep. So everyone's story or experience in it as far as surgeries is similar, but the experience as far as how many surgeries, that differs based definitely on the individual. So in facing your condition, what were some of the coping mechanisms that you use?
Well, good question. So since I was a kid in elementary school, I've been writing stuff down. You can't see around me here, but if you could see my workspace around me, you would see about 50 or 60 little yellow sticky notes, everywhere with, stuff written on it, and calendars and notes on my phone and reminders and things. You compensate, when the memory is not 100%, you have to do other things to cope.
Right.
Also, I've had a couple of eye surgeries because of the trauma to the brain. My eyes kind of went wonky, and so I've had a couple of eye surgeries. One of those eye surgeries rendered my eyes unable to work together, so I really only see out of one actively at a time.
Wow.
So, like right now, I'm looking at you from this eye. This eye can still see, but I'm not focused on anything with it.
I see. Yes.
And I can switch between the two at will, but that's one of those things. That surgery rendered them impossible to work together.
Right.
But again, you adapt. So that comes with depth perception issues, balance issues, reading issues. Sometimes driving is fun. When it's at night and the rain has blurred all the lines all over the place. So it's but you adapt. If I've learned nothing else over the last almost 5 decades of life, you have to adapt. You have to roll with the punches and adapt. And it doesn't matter why something is happening. God he's got it, man. Don't worry about it. It's how you deal with it.
How you deal with it. Indeed. It is true with every situation or circumstance. Your attitude, when you're dealing with whatever traumatic experience, any experience in life, really, it determines it by the outcome, determines by your attitude, how you face it, how you take the news, because We've seen where certain people get the news and they totally depressed. They're really out of it. And then there are those who are confident. I'm going to fight this. I will get through this. So
Yep.
everyone processes news differently, right? Everyone
Yeah.
processes the news differently. And sometimes you find the family members of members who are going through, they're more frantic than the person themselves who is actually going through the experience, because they're more confident. It's okay. We'll do this. It's okay. But then, people are concerned, because the whole thing is, and you mentioned it earlier, is when we feel like we really don't have any control of what is going on around us, whether it was health or not, just going out your door, getting in your car, you just don't know what will happen. Okay.
Right.
So all you can do is be your best, be a safe driver as best as possible. But that does not stop you from having an accident. That does not stop
Right.
someone from hitting you. So we're dealing with things differently, but your attitude in the long run is the one that defines the outcome of how everything is going to come out. Do you believe? When we talk about faith, yes, I don't see it, but I know that it's going to happen. So that is a very, 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 very big factor. Now, often we hear about the challenges of living with hydrocephalus, but are there any unexpected blessings or positive aspects that you have discovered along the way?
Well, yeah, well, first of all, to your point that you were just talking about with your attitude, I actually, in our journal that I showed you earlier, there are quotes in there from other people with hydrocephalus that are just kicking butt and taking names, like from around the world. There's somebody from New Zealand in there, several people from the United States, and we quote them. We pulled quotes from social media and different things. And one of the quotes, and my wife was like, "Well, it's your book. You have to have a quote in there too." Okay,
That's true.
well, what do I say? You hear me more than I hear me. What do I usually say? What do I say a lot? And so one of my quotes in there was, "Your attitude is the only thing you have 100% control over."
Yeah.
And I swear I say that half a dozen times a day, if not in my head out loud to somebody.
Right.
It's an illusion of control, honestly. I mean, God's in control, but really the fact that you think you're in control
Right.
is hilarious.
Yes.
It's an illusion. Let him have control. He's got it. He knows what he's doing. So, I'm sorry, repeat the question. I'm sorry, you asked me a question. I feel like I went into
Yes, I talk about what
there.
are any of the unexpected blessings or positive aspects that
Oh,
you've
yeah.
discovered along the way.
Oh man. Well, I mean, the obvious ones are if I had continued down the road of nothing wrong and revisions went perfectly and everything was cool and health was never an issue, I wouldn't be talking to you today, because I wouldn't have had to have the 4 brain surgeries in the last few years. I wouldn't have been in that room with the family on the other side of the wall being distraught, and me God giving me that idea for Hydro with Hope. And I would not have the TV show. And so I would not have, I don't begrudge any of it. I mean, it's all in his plan.
Right.
And it all worked. I mean, he works everything for good. So I'm not worried about it at all. I mean, he has brought me through all this for a reason. And I believe that Hydro with Hope is here for a reason. InvisibleCondition is here for a reason. And I've been able to talk to so many people and touch so many lives through those 2 avenues that never would have even entered my mind had I not gone through what some people would say was, hell on earth. I mean, after my surgeries in 2014, I had nonstop migraines for over a year. That is not fun.
No.
I mean, like nonstop, like 24/7 migraines for over a year.
Yes.
And so things like that are not fun. But when you go through those, you realize that, number one, again, you're not in control.
Yeah.
And number 2, it's just going to make you stronger, and so I'm definitely stronger and better for it.
It's true. I've suffered migraines since I was a little girl, and I've had migraines where it's 2 weeks, and I've
Yeah.
taken things and they cannot be relieved. And then that one day
Yeah.
that I finally wake up, I feel like I have I'm a whole new person,
Hmm.
because being in pain constantly, is really, really, really disabling.
Yes.
Sound, everything, and I suffer those, so I know. So imagine a whole year with a migraine that won't go away.
Uh-huh.
That's nothing compared to when I have 2 weeks or sometimes 3 weeks, or in a week, it might happen every other day. I might wake up fine. By the end of the day, I have a headache. So I can understand the headache part, because I've
Yeah.
experienced that as one of the pains of my life. You understand? And it's not easy. So when I get up and I can actually touch my face and it feels okay, that's the
Right.
day that I'm going to say, let me take a selfie. Sometimes people don't understand. It's true.
Right.
Sometimes people don't understand. They see you just taking a picture. They don't know what your week was. They don't know what your year was. But they're looking at
Right.
you like, oh, they look fine. And people would even critique, not even understanding what storms that you've gone through, what processes that you've gone through, what has life hit you with. Okay. So for me, whenever I capture a moment and I'm smiling, it's because I probably just had a whole week with a headache. And today I'm feeling bright and colorful. So as a result, I love to wear bright colors and all of that. So the pain that is on the inside, because we have more pain than that. We have pains from traumas, different
Yeah.
experiences, trying to pay your bills. Sometimes people are living paycheck to
Yeah.
paycheck. I call it running behind the bus. There's so much in life that people are dealing with. And then you add health to that equation. All right.
Right.
Which kind of, that's like you hitting a whole mountain load of stuff now onto someone going through that. Now, let's talk about the Hydro with Hope, because once I saw this, I was like, this is just beautiful. Here it is in full color, Hydro with Hope. So I want everybody to see it. It's in your face. And we're going to bring Jeff back now. Let's talk about that. I had to, like, boom, show this to people, because you're an advocate. What I love about when we've gone through any type of pain is now you turn your pain into purpose. And now you have Hydro with Hope. And now you're an advocate for it. You're on the
Yep.
front line. You're the face of it. If anybody knows you, they say, you know what? Let's call Jeff, because he's very informed on this, because you're now an advocate. You've had the experience, you've lived it. Some advocates is because of their parents or their child. Then there are those who are because they went through it. So let's talk
Yep.
about Hydro with Hope, because I want this hope to spread through Emerging Empower, and people are connecting so they know where to find Jeff. Okay, and he can
Yeah.
come on your show, or you can do something that comes around it and say, Jeff, can you be a speaker, because you're an advocate? I love advocates because they're very passionate about what they
Yes.
believe in. So let's talk about that.
Thank you. Yeah. Speaking of speaking, you I actually did. I had the honor of speaking at a conference in December of last year called the Healing Conference, which was amazing. And I've made so many incredible connections from that. That
Yes.
was so cool. But that was such a cool experience because of the nature of the conference. It was literally called the Healing Conference. It was so cool.
Right.
So yes, I love. So if there is anybody out there that wants, I mean, I love to spread the awareness about hydrocephalus, and really, my main message is that life is not over
Yeah.
just because you get diagnosed with a
Yes. You
condition
can
like
say that
this,
again. You can say that again, because
right?
I believe
Life,
people need to hear that, that you're a survivor. Many people have survived. Okay. And we go back to the attitude again. Life is not over just because you're diagnosed with something. All right. Make the best out of the life that God has given you. All right.
yep,
I'm going to use an example. I went to a funeral, and this lady has been going through blood transfusions for 15 years, dialysis for 15 years. Okay, 15 years. But people around her talk about the hope that she spread, the love that she spread. She's sharing Jesus, she's sharing love. Okay,
yep,
and that's all that I heard from it. Okay, so life, I'm taking back to you, Jeff. Life is not over because you got diagnosed with
Yep.
a particular disease or disorder.
Yep. And there was a guest I had on a while back that had a really good. She said something, and I put it on the screen almost every time I do a show because it's so good. She said, "You have survived 100% of your hard days so far. So have hope. You have already survived 100% of those hard days so far. You're
Yes,
still here. So
yes,
yeah, so it's pretty cool. So I
it's
love that
cool.
quote. But yeah, so Hydro with Hope, I mean, when I was in that room waiting for we were at a follow-up for one of my recent surgeries, and my wife and I were
Hmm.
sitting there, and when I heard that family in the next room, it kind of flashed me back to what I imagined my parents. I mean, imagine having your 2-week-old
Right.
baby boy and getting that news dropped on you like a
Yeah.
bomb, like a nuclear bomb. Your boy is going to have brain surgery
Right.
instead of, okay, everything's cool, go carry on with
Hmm.
life.
Hmm.
So that is what I want to help people with, is to navigate that whole experience of just shock and maybe fear and like uncertainty, and what the heck do we do now? Because the doctors are amazing, and they are there to talk about worst case scenarios sometimes.
Right.
That's their thing, and I don't fault them for it. It's what they do. It's
Right.
fine. It has its place, but hope is not something they talk about as often.
Right.
so and
It's true.
so
It's true.
yeah, so that's where we come in. I want people to know that there is hope. It is not the end all. It is not the end. It is the beginning.
Right.
And so yeah, when you get a diagnosis like that, it's and Hydro with Hope is there. Yes, we have the journal, and yes, I love to speak to audiences about this.
Right.
But one of the things that we're working on for 2024, which is on our website, you'll see a little thing on the website about it,
Hmm.
is coaching. We're working on a section of the site that might be, I think it's going to be probably like a membership type of site or so. I'm not sure. We're still working it out, but
Right.
it's going to be that. I don't like the word coaching. I don't even like the word counseling because I'm not a counselor. But I want to be able to get on Zoom a couple times a month and just
Right.
be there for people and say, what questions do you have? What can I help you with? How can I
Yes.
pray for you? Where can I answer questions for you that
Right.
maybe the doctor said this and it scared you to death? How
Right.
can I put that into perspective for you? So
Right.
we're working on that. I can't wait to do that because
It would
we've
be
been able to
great.
do that with,
I believe it's much needed because it's
yeah,
one thing to come on a podcast like this or on a TV show and talk about it, but people do not have the tools or, some type of coaching, some type of mentorship,
yes,
someone to be there like a guide, how can I help you beyond, yes, I was on the show. Yes, I'm a survivor. I know you're going through it, but I can shed a little bit light. I can help alleviate some of the stress, that's
yeah,
keeping you up at night, answer some of those questions. So it was definitely much needed. I believe everything that we have, because even the Bible itself is a guidebook for us. We
yes,
can't do anything with some sort of a guidance to help us through. Okay, I'm facing this. How can I emerge from this? What is the next steps? So
yeah,
a book like your journal gives next steps. Talk about the feelings, put your feelings out there. Yes, it was scary, but I got through it. Here's what I experienced, but I got through it. All right,
yep,
I'm here today. I'm living. All right, I'm having a regular life. I had a regular childhood. It doesn't stop anything. You don't have to baby the baby. It'll be all right. Just let them be children,
yep,
because you said you rode the bike. You did a lot of things. Some people was like, no, you're not riding bike. You got to have to wear that helmet. You got, there's all of these things that a
yeah,
parent would be like, okay, no, 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 no. They can do it. You can't. They can do it. You can't. Because I have children myself. Sometimes you say, hey, you don't feel good today. You're sick. Just relax. But kids, they just want to enjoy. They
yeah,
just want, they don't understand, okay, I'm in pain. I have to watch. No, they just want to be free and be able to just be a kid. All right. Just be
right,
a kid. So I truly believe that the coaching slash mentorship is important, and it would bring so much more to the awareness that you have. And I believe even with the platform, it has given you a broader audience as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with the TV show, I think that's where we got the idea, because our TV show Invisible Condition was born out of that. It was born kind of out of Hydro with Hope. You know, it was like, well, you know, I was talking to somebody at a conference one time, and I was telling them my story a little bit, and they were asking questions and things, and they said, well, I got to introduce you to this person. And they introduced me to the network president of Achieve TV, which is the channel we're on. And she's like, wow, you know, that's a story that needs to get out there, and we need to get you a show. And I knew that the hydrocephalus hour probably wouldn't last very long.
Right.
You don't want to talk about the same condition every single time. So we brainstormed and came up with Invisible Condition.
Right.
And the tagline for the show that we came up with is, it's not all in your head.
Yeah.
Because with invisible conditions, especially with invisible conditions.
Right.
I mean, for me, it is all in my head, literally. No pun intended.
No
it's
pun
literally
intended.
It is. But for somebody with like fibromyalgia or schizophrenia or bipolar or ADHD or POTS or lupus or what, I mean, good Lord, the list goes on and on.
The list goes on.
Sometimes when people can't see it from the outside, like that person that pulls up to the grocery store and maybe has had that 1 hour that they could go to the store because they've rested all morning just to save up the strength to go to the store for that hour.
Yeah.
And they jump out of the car and they look normal, and people are like, how come they're in a handicap spot? Well, maybe that was the only hour they felt normal that whole day. Right? So, you know, be kind, you know, you never know somebody's story. So that's what I'm saying is people have these invisible conditions, and I wanted to make sure that they knew that it was not all in their head. It is you are legit. It is real. And I want to talk about it, and I want you to tell your story, because that's important.
Yes, indeed. And I'm glad you brought up the disability and the handicap, because many times I've seen it where you go into a store and someone is shouting at someone, you don't look like you should be in the disabled parking lot. You just got the sticker. And people are saying all of this. But again, people have invisible conditions that you cannot see. You understand me? And there was an incident where I saw so much that this person shouted at the gentleman. He spent like 15 minutes trying to get out of the parking lot. You understand me? Because the invisible condition that he was dealing with, based on now with this person's trauma at them, it totally threw him off. You understand? And someone had to come in and say, do you need help? Help him calm down to be able to leave the parking lot. People are dealing with invisible conditions 24/7, 365 days out of the year. Just because you don't know it or you don't see it does not mean that someone is dealing with something in their life today.
I mean, so, there was a time not that long ago that I was you know, I would go to work. I would the previous career that I had, and I would work for a couple hours in the morning, and then I would have to go home. I would have to come home and take a nap to be able to go back and finish the day. And the people I worked for were so amazing and so understanding and so gracious, and they made it work and stuff. And I'm so thankful for that. But it was, you know, if you saw me at the workplace, you would, unless you knew me, you would never know that I literally 15 minutes before I was sitting before you at that job, I was on the couch, crashed out because I had to, because otherwise I wouldn't have had the strength to come work that afternoon, you know? And that's what people don't see. And that's where the grace comes in, where you go, okay, look, just because I don't see it doesn't mean it's not real.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
So
it's so true. And you see it every day, and every person, people that come on the podcast, their stories are different. Some you see, some you don't, some you've heard about it. But people have to have more grace. We live in a society where people are not so gracious. Okay,
Right.
but we do need to show grace. Just because you don't see something does not mean that someone is fighting. They're fighting a situation, they're fighting something. The moment that you saw them, like you said, was the only time that they had the strength to be able to get out, or the
Yep.
confidence in themselves to even step out, or even to show up somewhere. So we need to be more understanding, to people, more gracious and sympathetic to individuals. Just because you don't see it does not mean that it's not there, because we have a lot of internal scars. All
Yes.
right. And these scars are internal, and people are still dealing with them. For you, it started from when you were a baby. There were those maybe when they were 4 years old, 6 years old. Some people have traumatic experiences in their adulthood. Listen to what you just said. As a child, you didn't have as many surgeries as you had now in the past, what, 6 years, 10 years.
Mhm.
All right. So it happens at different times. So we have to be
Right.
more gracious. So, Jeff, before we close out, are there any last words, a message that you would like to send out to a person that's dealing with any type of sickness, anything that they're dealing with, to show them that the condition or what the situation they're in right now, that, you know what, God's got this, you'll be all right. Just go through it. Let's just leave a message that would touch the hearts of mothers and fathers, aunties, uncles, and
Yep.
those who are watching today.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna draw from the there's
Sure.
a little piece in the book that I think encapsulates it perfectly. So let me grab it
Great.
real quick and I'll read it. There's a in the introduction, or the about Jeff section, I guess, in here. There's a little blurb at the end that says, having lived with hydrocephalus for over 45 years, I can say three things with 100% certainty. Number one, God is faithful all the time.
All the
Number
time.
two, God is in control, and that's a good thing. Number three, life does not have to be perfect to be beautiful.
Ooh,
So
love that one. I
it
love number
is,
three.
yep,
I
it's
love number
true.
three. Well, not that I don't love God is in control and all of that, because we know that. We
Yep.
know that, but number three, definitely, definitely. So I truly thank you, Jeff, for being a part of the Emerge and Empower podcast. And I do not believe that you will be a stranger here, because I believe the platform is open for many, many more opportunities for you and individuals. Now, let everyone know where they can find you, so that they'll be able to tune in to you, even though we would have all the information in the bio. But some people like to hear it than to read.
Totally understand. Yep. Some people like to hear it. So, all right. For Hydro with Hope, they can go to hydrowithhope.com. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, so there's a place there where you can donate if you'd like, or if you'd like to just learn more about me and my story, or about the organization itself. Hydrowithhope.com. You can reach out to me, Jeff at hydrowithhope.com, or if you'd like to be a guest on our show, or if you are somebody that has a business that you say, hey, I'd like to get the word out about my business, maybe I could advertise on the show. Whatever it is, I would love to talk to you. I love meeting new potential guests as well. Reach out, InvisibleCondition at e360tv.com. That's the best email to reach out that way, and we can schedule a one-on-one call and talk it through and see what's going on. So,
Amen. Well, we do thank you once again, Jeff, for being here on Emerge and Empower. And everyone, you would get more information on him in the bio. Do follow him on Invisible Condition and let him know, hey, I was watching you on Emerge and Empower, and I'm here now tuning in to your TV show. Once again, Jeff, we do thank you for being here, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you
thank
so
you for
much.
having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, all right. Again, we want to thank Jeff for being on the show. Now, I just want to come back in as far as those who are dealing with invisible conditions. Now, these are psychological, these are different experiences that you have gone through in your life. And I would like to encourage you here on today for you to know that you are not alone. There are many that are dealing with invisible conditions, whether it's health wise or you're going through some traumatic experience that you feel like you just cannot continue. Listen, all right? Know this, that God is in control, God is a provider. And listen, like Jeff said, life doesn't have to be perfect for it to be beautiful. You make the best out of what you have. That is what you need to do. Make the best out of what you have. We've heard people say, if life gave me lemons, make lemonade. Get more creative. Let's make a smoothie. All right. And let's make something special out of it. All right. Let's make a lemon cake. All right. You can be different. Just create something different out of the pain or the experience that you've had. Remember, every person's experience is individual to you or on what you're going through. It's all individual. Your experiences are individual. All right. What you've gone through is all to you. And now make the best out of life. Make the best out of it. Make the best of it. Fight to live. Don't give up on life, first of all. Fight to live. Because the moment we decide that we don't want to continue, everything just starts deteriorating. It all starts changing around you. So it is key for you on today to know that every person, yes, you and everyone you know, is dealing with an invisible condition. There are people you think that their life is perfect. They've achieved so much, but they're dealing with things mentally. You see them as beautiful and gorgeous or handsome, and to them, they see ugly when they look in the mirror. They do not see success when they look in the mirror. There are those on here today that are going through an invisible condition that you didn't even tell your family you're going through it alone. No, trust me, your family members will not want you to go through it alone. Your friends will not want for you to go through it alone. They would like to be there for you. Allow them to be there for you. Allow them to pour into you. Allow them to just be present. Share the load, and it takes the weight off of your life. So I do thank you once again for being a part of the Emerge and Empower podcast. Now, do you have a story to tell? Go ahead and email us at emergeandempower@gmail.com and be my guest. I'm your host, Dr. Lynn J. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.